Tragedy has struck the German Empire, and a day of national mourning is held across the entirety of Germany. The German High Seas Fleet, the Kaiserfleet, has been sunk to the bottom of the sea, engaged by the French forces emerging out of the English Channel. The Germans were somewhat disorganized as they emerged out of Fog Bank and faced with a mighty squadrons of French forces and being decimated by accurate and decisive volley fire from the entirety of the French Navy. Early on in the combat, Reinhard Scheer was killed, and that left the Germans even further disorganized, and ultimately when the Germans did decide to withdraw in haste back to Hanover, they were put upon by the French forces and harried, and very few survivors made their way back to German shores. It is quite a tragedy for the German Empire, but they've had some successes abroad. Reinhard von Spee has been successful in the Red Sea, engaging the British Indian squadrons as well as the Italian dreadnoughts and sinking them to the bottom of the sea. So perhaps Lady Luck does not play favorites as different theaters of war see different levels of combat. But the presence of Reinhard von Spee in the Mediterranean, or near the Mediterranean in the Red Sea, has alleviated the pressure on the Japanese, and now they surge into combat on the Eastern Front, or on the Pacific Theater, and have captured the Marianas from the German colonial forces. It is quite difficult for the Germans to maintain a presence in this theater, and now the British have also sprung into action by building transports in hopes of shipping their forces from this theater into the action themselves. The African theater seems to be tilting in the balance of the British, as now they've liberated South Africa, marched into German Southwest Africa as well as Portuguese East Africa, and putting severe pressure on Paul von Lettow-Vorbeck in his German East Africa theater, and making it quite a bit more difficult for him to combat in this set neck of the woods. We also see the Austro-Hungarians have made a surprise maneuver and made a landing in North Africa, in Algeria, in French Algeria. Their presence in the Mediterranean is quite significant, with dreadnought squadrons, cruiser squadrons, and submarine squadrons. The Ottomans have also engaged in combat or come into the action with a dreadnought of their own, and 2 cruisers have been successful in the Black Sea. We shall maybe see that this theater of war might stay in German hands, or in Central Powers' hands for the near future. Things look quite well in this theater, in the Mediterranean theater, although perhaps the African theater looks somewhat, well, anorexic at this point. The Eastern Front is quite interesting as well. Russian forces are quite a sight to behold and quite strong in their own right, with a strong center bastion of strength as they can maneuver their forces north and south around the Pripyat marshes, threatening both flanks. Germans, Austrians, and Ottoman forces attempt to perhaps form some level of front line against them, but perhaps the Russian forces might be too strong in this theater. In the north, we see von Hindenburg has been making his push into northern Russia, perhaps towards Petrograd, perhaps towards some other region. By this point, things are difficult for him in this theater as well, as his forces are equally matched by the Russian forces, and there's a dearth of reinforcements moving eastwards from the Germans, from the Austrians, and only the Ottomans feeding in a few troops each turn into this theater, although there's not too much to be spared, as the Ottoman forces themselves have been busy enough engaging in the Middle East, liberating those territories from the British, and otherwise fighting abroad. The Western theater is somewhat interesting as well. The French engaged Belgium in a decisive attack that was quite devastating for the German forces, and then the Germans followed up by offensive of their own, meaning that ultimately the Germans are victors of the field, as both sides were basically bled white in those theaters, and now they need some time to regain their composure, regain their strength, and perhaps make future pushes in the near future. We see the British have now, with the absence of any German presence, have now started to feed troops into the northern theater, with French transports loaded up with British forces in perhaps an attempt to push southwards and help shore up the French defenses in France. We shall see how that works out for them. The American forces are quite strong in their own right. They have made a training attack against Hispaniola, engaging that force with 4 infantry divisions as well as 4 artillery support brigades, and been quite devastatingly hit back with 1 infantry and 1 artillery defending Hispaniola, meaning quite a difficult scenario for them to struggle through, with plenty of casualties took by the Americans. But it is something that they will train with and learn from, and perhaps when they emerge on the Western Front, on the side of the French and the British, perhaps they'll be much more decisive in that theater as well. Although they had overwhelming firepower in Hispaniola, Lady Luck does seem to play favorites at times in this circumstance. Welcome all to Operation Tannenberg. I am playing as the Germans. My name is Jinx. Hopefully my preamble here is not too terribly long-winded. I know it can get that way at times for those people that are interested, but hey, I enjoy making them. It makes things fun for me. Let's get on with our turn. But before I do, I guess I have two little housekeeping things. I had a trench works to place, and I'm going to place that trench works all the way out east in, down south here in German East Africa. Now, I also have one other thing I should mention here. In the Baltics, there is no convoy lines in the Baltic, or no convoy zones in the Baltic, so I don't need to worry about any convoy hits on that theater. I was under the I thought I was missing something, but turns out I wasn't. So we have 57 IPCs to spend, and we're faced with somewhat of a quandary. The Western Front, we have to feed some troops to hold onto that theater, especially since there's very few infantry divisions present there. The Eastern Front, where the Russians only grow stronger, and now the Navy, and I think we do need to have somewhat of a Navy so as that the Entente Cordiale does not run rampant on us, especially now that we have a nice presence here in the Mediterranean and perhaps the Indian theater. Perhaps it's worthwhile to feed some Navy over here so that it keeps some of the Entente attention in this neck of the woods. So, with that in mind, we have 10 infantry building, 1 artillery, and 3 submarines. Now, we did want to satisfy our armored divisions as well, as our generals wanted armored tanks, but at this point, I think we are almost in the purely defensive mode for many of our units here. Actually, yeah, at this point, we're somewhat defensively minded for a lot of our units here, so we're not going to do anything with the armored units just yet. Although, having said that, I am very tempted to exchange 2 infantry for an armor. I'm going to hold off on that, at least for this turn. We're also getting a research token, so that tidies us up. All right, let's roll for some tech. We've been quite lucky, so we expect these ones to be a miss. And it's a success. What do you know? All right, we've been quite wildly successful the entire game. There's a 5. 5 is another trench works, so yay! Ah, goodness, I don't know. It's one of those things. Lady Luck seems to like me in regards to tech anyways. So let's get on with our movements here and see what we got to see. So starting on the Eastern Front, we will move some units around here. From Crimea, we're going to move our 3 machine gun infantry, and we're going to move 2 infantry from this position in Crimea to the Volga in an attempt to throw off the Russian defenses here and perhaps liberate it for future Ottoman pushes beyond that territory, if we get any luck, because we do need 7 territories, and if we capture that, perhaps the Ottoman cavalry can move beyond that point and engage somewhat deeper in Russian territory. Then we have over here in Belarus, we're attacking there with a fighter from Poland, with 2 artillery from Poland, with 4 infantry from Lithuania, and that is it. So 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, that is it. We're also sending in 2 Zeppelins, from Brandenburg to this territory. And that is it. We are sending from Lithuania to Estonia 2 infantry, walking on to that territory. And from Lithuania to Karelia, I believe. Yeah, Karelia, we're sending in 12 infantry and 13 artillery. With Paul von Hindenburg making a push up there. And also from Poland, we're sending in 2 cavalry and 2 artillery as well. There we have it. From Poland to Crimea, we're going to reinforce that territory with 2 infantry and 2 cavalry. And that takes care of the Eastern Front, I believe. Let's now turn our attention to the Western Front with our actions here. Now we are going to make an attack into Belgium. We're going to hit them with our 3 infantry here. Everything in Belgium is going and attacking, but 3 infantry is coming out from Alsace. From the Rhine province, we're sending in 4 infantry. So we're going to hit that lone French unit. And from Bavaria to Alsace, 3 infantry are going to move up. Now we're going to make somewhat of a tricky move. This damaged dreadnought is repaired. This transport is going to move 2 spaces, risking those mines and dropping off 2 infantry up north in Finland. So it's a risky move, but we're going to try it. And then we're going to feed some units eastwards with 4 infantry moving up to Poland. Let's see what we can do with that situation. And that takes care of that. Now let's turn our attention to the last theater in Africa, starting with our cruisers here. Admiral von Spee is going to sail at 1, 2, 3 to this sea zone. Right there. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's probably the best position for him. So that's Sea Zone 44 from 36 in the Red Sea. Now over here in Italian Somaliland, we're going to send 1 infantry up to the Dervish state to liberate that for the Ottomans. So now they have an infantry and a cavalry in the Dervish state. We are going to do something tricky here. We're going to move 1 infantry to the Belgian Congo and 1 machine gun back. We're going to move these 2 infantry are going to be loaded up on these units here. One of them is going to drop off in Madagascar, just to walk on into this territory, and the other one's going to come across to Nigeria and drop off there. We're going to send this submarine from Sea Zone 13 to engage this French transport and sink it, just like that. And we're quite threatened by the forces of the British in this theater. I'm not too eager to see how that goes. And I'm also, so if I can build 2 infantry here, I'm going to stack them with that machine gun immediately, but I'll have to see if I'm even allowed to do that. All right, so in this theater, we're going to drop off, like I said, a walk-on here. And honestly, I think that's it. I think that's it across the entire board. Yeah, all right. So let's start with the mines up north there. Let's see if I can skip out on a set of mines. I hit on a 1. Let's hope I don't roll a 1. Oops, wrong spot. Miss. All right, we're successful. That transport managed to drop off troops in Finland. All right, so we're going to have to adjust for income in a bit, but let's start with the Volga. We have 3 infantry paired with artillery, so that means we got 3 at 1. 3 at 1 here. Oh, sorry, 3 up to, 3 at 3 or less, and then we got 2 at 2 or less. So there's 3 hits total, and the enemy has 2 Russians in that theater, so we've hit them for 3 times, and now as the defense, we have 2 Russians with 1 hit in defense. So we've managed to liberate Volga from those dastardly Russian hordes. I guess it goes German now because I can't hand it off, and they've struck me once, so I take off 1 infantry. All right, so there's that. Moving on from there, let's take a look at the next point of conflict. It's up here in Belarus. So this might be a little tricky, so I'm going to lay out some dice here. Sorry I haven't done this before, just been a little busy. 2 Zeppelins. I have 2 artillery going into the fight with air support. Then I have 2 infantry. I have a total of 5 infantry. So that's 1, 2, 3. And that does it. And my fighter. Did I do my fighter already? I did. I bet you that's what this is here. Fighter, 3 infantry. Yep. Alright, that'll do. And the defense, they have 4 infantry. Alright, so let's roll for artillery first. That's a 1 hit. I don't know if that's on camera. It is on camera. Excellent. 1 hit. Then we have our 2 infantry supported and 2 Zeppelins. So there should be 2 hits here. And there's not a 1, so that's pretty bad. And then lastly, we have our fighter and 3 infantry with no hits. So only 1 hit. All right, and as the defense, 1 hit as well. So that wasn't a great roll for anybody, but 1 hit on each side, we can stomach that. We can definitely stomach that. That leaves them with 3 infantry, and it leaves us also with something like 4 infantry, I believe. Yeah, 4 infantry. All right, moving on to Belgium. I'm going to roll for my artillery first. So here's 5 artillery. That's plenty of hits. They only have 1 infantry after all, and here's their infantry response with a miss. So they take off 1 French infantry. Okay. All right. Then we've done Belarus. Let's do Karelia up north there. So that is a dice roll here. Karelia. Again, I have a whole bunch of artillery, but no air support this time. But here is 5 artillery. That's sufficient to score some hits. And 1 infantry defending. Misses. All right, so we managed to take off this infantry here. And we've captured Karelia. And that takes care of all that. Now we've done Belgium. Now the African theater. So there's only 1 combat here. I don't know if I stated it or not, but here in Togoland, 1 infantry versus 1 French infantry. It's a risky attack, but the rewards might be good. Infantry attacking, 1 hit. Infantry defending, 1 hit. Alright, so you mutually destroyed each other. And I believe that leaves it in German hands. That's the initial territory here. It was initially German. So I believe it goes back to German-held territory. So that's quite lovely. Not great. I would have loved to keep that infantry alive, but hey, you can't have it all our way. All right, taking a look at this theater here now and counting up our units. So we have in Madagascar, we go up 1. We go up 1 for Togoland, so that's 2. Nigeria we picked up from the British, so that's 3. So Germany goes up 3. I believe we were at 48 before, or maybe we're at 47. I need to double check at the answer. 1, 2, 3. I believe that leaves us at 50. We drop down the British 1 and the French by 1 as well. So that takes care of our African theater. Let's take a look up at this theater here. We have the Volga, gives us $1. The Russians go down now. Karelia gives us another $1. Estonia another $1, so that's 3. And we have 4, 5. So we go up by 5. We go up by 5, and the Russians go down by 5. So they're at 15, and we are at 55, I believe. I will double check my stuff later on. And lastly, for Belgium, we move up by 2 as well. So I think that leaves us at 57. Yes, I believe so. 57. Yeah, I think that's it. So 57. All right, I'm going to pause this video now and do a quick count on the map. Okay, so by my count, I'm up at 55. So I'm a little high on this one. I'm going to drop me down to here. So let's go collect our... Oh, we got to place our units first. So first of all, in German East Africa, we're going to place 2 infantry. And if possible, we're going to combine them with that machine gun. If that works. If not, that's cool too. We're going to take our attention to up here. We're going to place our 3 submarines in the North Sea. We're going to place our infantry. The usual kind of thing that we've been doing is 3 infantry in Bavaria. Then we're going to do 4 infantry in Rhine province. 2, 3. I'm out of pieces here. 3, 4 in Rhine province. Then I'm going to combine these 2 stacks and throw another ship underneath. Rob Peter to pay Paul. And our last infantry and artillery gets placed up in that neck of the woods right here. All right. That takes care of that. So looking at our numbers here, we are at 55, as I stated before, 55. And then for bonus income, we control Belgium, so that's $2. Per territory, yeah. So that's $2. So that's 57. 57. We have British or French territory in Africa. We hold 1 there, so that is this one, 58. Central powers control 3 of the following. I do believe we have that: Poland, Lithuania, Belarus, and Estonia. So we get $3 for that. And this one here is only applicable round 5. So yeah, we have 50, 55, 60, 61. 61 IPCs to spend on our subsequent turn. Pretty good stuff. Pretty good stuff. There we have it. Okay, guys, thanks all for watching. If you have any questions or see something I did wrong, you let me know. I still have this barbed wire, or sorry, trench works I get to put on the map somewhere, but I don't think I'll put it anywhere this time around. If you're actually ever wondering as to why I have these weird towers starting to build up, it's how many times there was combat in those territories. So right now Belgium seems to be having the most with 4 attacks. And I'll stack up some of these other ones after. Some of the ones I don't really do if they're just simple walk-ons, but I don't know, the frontier ones I like to do. Anyways, guys, thanks all for watching. Cheers!